Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are St. Louis.
Welcome to Sunday Baseball on Fox Sports Midwest. We are the Aces. Today the Cardinals take on the Brewers.
Go Cards!
This is St. Louis Cardinals baseball. And this afternoon from Miller Park in Milwaukee, the Redbirds looking for a sweep. The Cardinals also looking for win number 72. The Cardinals and Brewers on Fox Sports Midwest. A remarkable run of pitching. The Cardinals come into play today with an opportunity to set the all-time record for consecutive scoreless innings. Currently sits at 36 in franchise history. Jim Hayes, Rick Horton, Dan McLaughlin with you on this Sunday afternoon. Delighted to have you with us for Cardinals baseball, and this has been a very good road trip.
Yeah, the pitching has led to this being a great road trip. They played well in Cincinnati, also here in Milwaukee, and we've talked so much about the Cardinals, Dan, playing well at home, but they now own the best road record as well in baseball.
And it is John Lackey here this afternoon. He'll get the call for the Cardinals. Jimmy Nelson will go for the Brewers. Brewers, Cardinals, next. They're on quite a run. Michael Walker. Michael Walker, Lance Lynn, and Jaime Garcia, all with shutout performances coming into play today. This afternoon, it's John Lackey getting the start as the Cardinals look for win number 72 here this afternoon. It's John Lackey, 9-7, Jimmy Nelson, 9-9. The Cardinals and the Brewers. It comes your way next on Fox Sports Midwest. This afternoon, and baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Make a plan to make it home. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And visit your local Mid-America Chevy dealers for great prices on our all-new 2015 vehicles today. The Cardinals are 32 games above the 500 mark. The last time that happened was at the end of 2013. And there he is, the voice of the Brewers, Bob Uecker. Of course, he played for the Cardinals, part of the '64 championship team. Jimmy Nelson, the big right-hander, will face this lineup of the St. Louis Cardinals. Matt Carpenter, good road trip, followed by Colton Wong and Johnny Peralta. Then Jason Hayward, Randall Grichuk, Brandon Moss, Stephen Piscotty, Tony Cruz, and John Lackey. All right-handed bench for the Cardinals with Borges, Molina, Reynolds, and Cosma here this afternoon. Nelson 9-9. And he's pitched very well in the second half of the season. One of the top starters in all of baseball since the All-Star break. First pitch, a strike, and we're underway.
Dan Nelson has 20 2/3 scoreless inning streak, if that sounds familiar. The Cardinals pitching has been even better than that, but he is 0-4 against the Cardinals lifetime. He does throw very, very hard.
Lost back on June 3rd, the only meeting between Jimmy Nelson and the Cardinals. 7-4 was the final that day. Matt Carpenter's fourth leadoff home run in the ball game yesterday, 8th of his career. Swinging a very hot bat. And the 0-2 pitch to Jimmy Nelson, or by Jimmy Nelson, I should say, grounded to Adam Lynn, and Carpenter is the first out. The Hyundai pitch arsenal for Jimmy Nelson, the starter today for Milwaukee.
Sinker and a four-seamer. He has a curveball and a slider. And when you think Jimmy Nelson, you think that explosive fastball, 94, 95 range. And he was the #1 prospect a year ago for the Brewers and really kind of became their ace when they traded others away like Gallardo.
Fires is gone now. Kyle Loesch is in their bullpen. Matt Garza won't be here that much longer, so he is the future. Saw Kyle Loesch pitch on Friday night out of the bullpen for the first time since 2009. Here's a 1-0 pitch to Colton Wong. Wong has been cold this month, just 3 for 26, a 115 batting mark. He's 2 for 8 against Jimmy Nelson. Ground ball hit to the right side, taken there by Scooter Gennett. 2 down. In steps Johnny Peralta, who's 0 for his last 11. A look at the Milwaukee defense with Davis in left. Shane Peterson gets the start in center field. Ryan Braun is in right for Craig Counsell's club. Herrera, Segura, Gennett, and Lind along the infield. And Jonathan Lucroy is behind the plate. One of the Cardinals that's had very good numbers against Jimmy Nelson is Peralta. Came in 5 for 10, and he grounds out 0 for his last 12. So Nelson, a 1-2-3. John Lackey to the mound when we come back. struggling club, 47 and 65. Then it's Chris Davis, Ryan Braun, Adam Lind, Jonathan Lucroy, Scooter Gennett, Gene Segura, Elian Herrera, switch hitter, and the pitcher Jimmy Nelson batting ninth. On the bench, Logan Schaefer from the left side. Then they have Rogers, Perez, and Maldonado, their backup catcher. John Lackey getting the call today for the St. Louis Cardinals and trying to make it 12 consecutive years when healthy to get to 10 or more wins. He has been consistent. His record at 9-7 and the very good ERA.
Well, the numbers are all good. I'm going to focus on the innings pitched. We don't talk about that much, but if he gets deep into this game, into the 8th inning, he'll have the 3rd most innings pitched in the National League, behind Scherzer and Kershaw, and that's pretty impressive for a guy, again, 36 years of age.
The Brewers have 8 hits in this series. There's a fly ball into left center. Randall Grichuk. 8 hits in the 2 games. All have been singles. Only 1 runner passed first, and that was after a walk by Garcia. That runner advanced, and that's been it as you get a look at the Hyundai pitch arsenal. Four-seamer, slider, sinker, and he'll kind of throw a get-me-over curveball. He often does that when he's behind in the count, but Lackey, as we've noticed all season long, the most important pitch for him is strike one, and then he just kind of goes to work from there. Chris Davis on the first pitch. Pops it foul and out of play. A lot of first pitch strikes when John Lackey is right. So if I'm the Brewers, I'm looking at that first pitch to drive, because that's the one he's going to be more apt to throw in the heart of the plate because he wants strike one. And that may be the best pitch you have in the entire at-bat. There's strike 2. The Cardinals, 36 consecutive scoreless innings coming into play today, and trying to set the all-time record. They can match 42. That would be the 1943 club. That's really what has defined the Cardinals of 2015. Pitching injuries. Just when you think the pitching couldn't get any better, we have this road trip. Starting in Cincinnati. Starting really with the bullpen. Cardinals have been very stingy with the runs. The collective ERA down to 2.58. And behind them, the Pittsburgh Pirates, second best in Major League Baseball. We'll see them on Tuesday night. Ground ball taken there by Wong. Lackey thought about going for it, made the right choice. Cardinals defense with Piscotty in left field. Randall Grichuk in center, Jason Hayward in right. Carpenter, Peralta, Wong, and Mossel on the infield. Tony Cruz gets a rare start behind the plate. That's presented by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Defense has been good as well. Goes along with good pitching. Colton Wong, specifically, Dan, has only made 1 error since the 11th of July, about a month ago, and only 4 errors since the 1st of June. So you look at his error total, it's a little high, but a lot of those came early. Here's Ryan Braun. Lifts a fly ball down the right field line and out of play. No home runs, no RBI in the month of August for Ryan Braun. Couple that with the fact that they're now missing Aramis Ramirez, Gerardo Parra, Carlos Gomez, and you can understand why the Brewers are struggling. I thought they might get a kind of a jump start when Lucroy came back off the disabled list, but it really didn't happen. And when it didn't happen, they felt like they might as well dismantle things. And a ground ball that's hit to first, and an easy 1-2-3 for John Lackey. We head to the second. There's no score. importance, Toyota, keys to the game.
Well, the first key, and it's so easy to focus on pitching, but I'm going to look at the offensive side. From the Brewers' point, their offense has struggled so much, they've got to find a spark somewhere. This is really an offense that has gone south. On the Cardinals side, it's got to be more than Carpenter. Matt has certainly been on a streak of late, but they need to get 3 or 4 guys in this lineup driving the ball. Piscotty's kind of on the edge of maybe doing that. But if you're going to score a lot of runs, it needs to be more than just your leadoff hitter.
Who would have thought after April that we'd be in August and Jason Hayward would be leading the league, or rather leading the Cardinals in hitting at 284. Leads the club at 284. 9 home runs, 36 RBIs. And that's a base hit into right center. Extra bases. He'll try for it. Heading for second. Sliding in safely. And a leadoff double for Jason Hayward. Happy birthday to Jason Hayward. Turns 26 today.
It's a nice way to start your birthday afternoon. Hayward gets a pitch away, but lines it. I like to see him driving the ball, and he hits it into the right center field gap. Hayward leads the Cardinals by a long margin in taking extra bases. I think he's brought that to this club. I think the base running's been better than a year ago, and I think Hayward's part of the reason.
And now it's Randal Grichuk. Mr. Excitement steps in. We'll talk about it here in the telecast as our afternoon goes through. Should he be considered for Rookie of the Year? Absolutely. But he is the only player right now in baseball with 13 home runs, 20 doubles, and 7 triples. That's anybody, not just rookies. Speed and power when you talk about Grichuk.
Very rare combination. That's what makes him so exciting.
I think it'll be interesting, too, as the years go on, where he settles into the lineup.
Yeah,
he's been all over the place.
Hasn't seemed to bother him much.
At all. The 2-0. Hit out of play.
Interesting thought, though. As a young player, nothing really bothers you too much. You're happy to be in the big leagues, and you're happy to produce. And even happier when you're on a team that's winning. Long term, you start to kind of want to find your place more the more you've been around the game. And I think it is interesting. See, at third place, I think he's a cleanup hitter. That's where I think his future is.
The 2-1. Pulled foul, and it's 2-2. The Cardinals have hit in the 5 games on this trip 198. And yet they're on the cusp of winning 5 of 6. That's amazing.
It is amazing.
Two balls, 2 strikes on Randal Grichuk.
You mentioned, Dan, the Pirates earlier. As good as the Cardinals have been, 71-39, 32 games over 500. Best home record in baseball, best road record in baseball, and the Pirates are only 6 games back. That tells you what kind of year the Pirates are having. I don't want to say under the radar, but they're having a tremendous season. Cardinals is just a bit better. Can't shake them, though.
The 2-2. And a strikeout of Grichuk, first of the afternoon for Jimmy Nelson. Mentioned that the Pirates are just behind St. Louis in team ERA, 3.20. This ERA the Cardinals have right now, as you get a look at Brandon Moss, it's the lowest ERA in Major League Baseball since Baltimore in 1972. The Pirates, by the way, will play later tonight, Sunday Night Baseball, against Los Angeles. And that's Alex Wood against Charlie Morton coming up later tonight.
I happen to think that's good for the Cardinals to have a team that's right behind them, maybe a lap behind, but certainly able to catch the Cardinals. I think it kind of keeps you focused on continuing to push forward. You can't be kind of sitting around counting your wins and losses and be excited about 32 games over because somebody's on your heels.
Here's an 0-1 pitch to Moss. Instead, a check on Hayward at second base. It's a great point, Rick, because with some of those very good teams that Tony La Russa had, and right now this team is on pace to get over 100 wins like the 2004, the 2005 teams, they just blew away the field. You got into September, and those games, not to say they were meaningless, but they had a double-digit lead. Hit out of play. No balls, 2 strikes. Moss so far 4 for 25 as a Cardinal with an RBI, albeit a big one, a game winner. That was last Sunday against Colorado. Here's the 0-2. And Moss hits it out of play. Roof is open today. A cloudy afternoon, cool here in Milwaukee.
Very busy city this weekend. They've got fairs going on. They had a triathlon here downtown. I happened to go watch it for an hour and a half yesterday down by the lake. And watching a triathlon for an hour and a half, I can tell you, is exhausting. I was worn out. I had to go back and take a nap.
Not running, swimming, or biking, just
watching them. Yeah.
Here's an 0-2 pitch. And a strikeout of Moss. So back-to-back Ks following the double off the bat of Hayward. Golf with your favorite Blues player, alumni, and coach at the Blues 14 Fun Golf Classic, Monday, September 14th at Norwood Hills. All foursomes are paired with a Blues celebrity for 18 holes of golf. All you have to do is visit stlouisblues.com/golf classic for more info. Stephen Piscotty. It's a start in left field for the injured Matt Holliday. So important for a young player to get off to a good start. And I know for the Cardinals, a real concern when they called him up was trying to find playing time. Where would you put him? At the time, Holliday was still healthy. So byproduct of his injury has been playing time for Piscotty, and he's able to settle in.
Not the way you want to get it, because you certainly miss Matt Holliday in this lineup. He brings something to it that nobody else can do, really, with his on-base percentage and his power together.
So Jimmy Nelson out of an early jam. Midway through 2, and there's no score. And with more on the Cardinals rookie, let's check in with Jim Hayes.
Dan, Stephen told me that his welcome to the big leagues moment came in his very first at bat. He struck out swinging with the bases loaded on a pitch that hit him. He said he wasn't himself. He said he felt like he was floating on air. He's been very much himself since then. Mike Matheny says the most impressive thing about Piscotty is his ability to adjust to what pitchers are doing. Mike says he's only seen a pitcher get him with the same pitch twice in a game, one time. Mike says Stanford engineer, obviously Piscotty is smart, but he says he also has a remarkable baseball IQ, Dan.
I thought that was interesting, Jim, that Mike was differentiating between being smart and having a high baseball IQ, and really kind of making the point that they don't necessarily go together, but in Piscotty's case they do.
1 ball, 1 strike on Adam Lind. Very good numbers in his career against John Lackey, but now 0 for his last 8. Who wants him? It's Piscotty. Isn't it great when it works out like that? We're talking about Stephen Piscotty, and you know what? He gets the fly ball.
Well, let's talk about, who do you want to talk about now? How about Peralta?
So you're saying the ground ball now to Peralta? Peralta, okay.
Let's just see how much power we really have.
Jonathan Lucroy hitting .243, 4 home runs, 25 RBIs. Rick talked about the injury he dealt with. It was a broken toe, and he came back and just was not the player that we saw a year ago, who was an MVP candidate.
Did so many things well. Top catcher, ran the bases well, was hitting for power, driving in runs. Really, the people in Milwaukee were kind of on a little marketing campaign for him to say, okay, we're tired of talking about Yadier Molina. Our guy's pretty good too. And he was really producing. But that man's been producing for a very long time, year after year, inning after inning.
Reputation has a lot to do with it across Major League Baseball in terms of fan vote for an all-star game. Even the respect that you get amongst the players that vote for certain aspects and awards of the game. 3-1 on Lucroy. And a 1-out walk. BJC Healthcare difference maker. Most in Major League Baseball in terms of days in first place. But when it counted, the Cardinals came on strong in September. Pittsburgh got hot. Those two battled it out down the stretch. There was a key series in St. Louis for Milwaukee to maybe potentially get back in it. Couldn't come up with those key wins. And they were on the outside looking in. Liner and a double play. Caught by Moss. Tags the bag off the bat of Scooter Gennett. A double play. Moss off the bag, then tags the bag. No score after 2. being put up by this Cardinals pitching staff as they look to make history here today and set the all-time record. They now have broken that three-way tie of 36 consecutive innings, 3 different teams. This is since 1912. They're closing in on the 2013 team, the all-time record, the 1943 team.
2013 team, of course, National League champs, and you look at how competitive this Cardinal team has been and how good the pitching has been since Mike Matheny took over as manager. Of course, it's been a Cardinal trademark long before that, but Cardinals just keep on winning.
Last start for Tony Cruz was back on August 6th against Cincinnati. Went 1 for 4 in a 3-0 win with an RBI. It
was interesting. Mike Matheny, as Jim touched on in the pregame show, was asked about the streak, and he said he found it. He understands why there's a lot of talk about it, but he's being very careful that it doesn't become a distraction for his pitchers. He doesn't want them thinking about that. He wants them to just stay with the process. And pretty interesting, he outlined, Dan, what that process is. The process is you compete, and then after you compete, you adjust, you prepare, you work, and then you execute. And he said that's the process that pitchers go through to get themselves ready for a start.
Here's a 1-2 pitch to Cruz. And I can understand him saying, look, I don't want to focus on the streak, but we can. The fans are.
Of course.
The Dodgers in 1988, a team that you were a part of, a world championship team, the last club to have 4 consecutive road shutouts. That's also been very impressive of this streak, to do it on the road. Slowly hit left side. Herrera barehands and throws, and it's an infield hit for Tony Cruz. I think that kind of gets lost in what's happening here. The streak and seeing this is against teams on the road.
And it started in Cincinnati in a hitter's ballpark against a team that may be getting old, but they can still hit. They still got Frazier and Votto and Phillips and Bruce in that lineup, and kind of started there. It was pretty amazing, too. Tony Cruz, by the way, much higher batting average as a starter than we've seen as a pinch hitter.
Lackey with 3 sacrifices this year. Lynn diving for it and cannot come up with it. Strike 1. Great effort.
He's charging hard already, and just that close.
Another step in, and he's got it. Strike on Lackey to go to 0-2.
We saw it in Lance Lynn's game. The Brewers doing it here against Lackey. They did it against Lance Lynn. You throw the ball up in a bunt situation and make it harder for the batter to stay on top of it and get the ball down. You're more apt to pop up a pitch up in the zone, and it's really what they teach you. If it's a sacrifice situation, many would say the toughest pitch to bunt is the high fastball.
And a strikeout of John Lackey. 3 today for Jimmy Nelson. 6 is a serious number and on the run. When the Cardinals score 6, any size drink, just 50 cents the next day. That's coffee, fountain, or frozen drinks. When they score, you pour at your nearest on the run. You earned it. There's a new twist to that read.
I was tracking that. I like it. I really feel like I've earned it now. Can't wait till the next game.
Maybe even later today. If they score 6, we'll read it again. A breaking ball that was taken outside by Matt Carpenter.
Well, to score 6, the Cardinals are going to have to do better with their opportunities. Last inning, a leadoff double for Jason Hayward, and then a couple of strikeouts, and then a little ground ball back to the pitcher. And you may not get a lot of opportunities. We mentioned Nelson has been as hot as anybody since the All-Star game.
1 ball, 1 strike. Carpenter with extra base hits in 5 consecutive games. Jimmy Nelson led all minor leaguers last year, every level of minor league baseball, with a 1.17 ERA. And at that time, throwing almost exclusively with a fastball and slider. And they talked about how his changeup has been added this year, and also a curveball. Now, one of the issues that he has, though, at times, holding runners on. Now, you're not going to see Cruz, you wouldn't think, running in any spot, but that's something to keep in mind as this game goes on. Strikeout of Carpenter, 2 in a row for this game.
That fastball looked like it had a little run towards the inside corner, and it was at 96 miles an hour. There it is, right on that corner. Good call by our home plate umpire, Angel Hernandez.
And it brings in Colton Wong. Rounded out sharply to second base. 0 for 1. Nice play by Lucroy to keep that in front.
Mentioned Angel Hernandez. Mike Matheny was talking before the game to all of us about how much the players got out of the visit with Joe Torre here in Milwaukee. And he was explaining to each one of the players just how they are evaluated, the umpires, on a daily basis, how they're reprimanded, how they're dealt with. And Mike believes it was very, very good leadership on the part of Joe Torre. The players received it well. They had a chance to kind of verbalize some of their issues and complaints and concerns, and he said it was a terrific meeting. Joe, of course, met with the Cardinals and the Brewers separately, but I think they all found out some things about how umpires are evaluated that they may not have understood prior.
Here's a 1-1 pitch to Colton Wong. Fouled back. Was talking with Pete Prenzi today, the strength and conditioning coach of the Cardinals, and we talk about the strength of Randall Grichuk, Matt Holliday. He said pound for pound, he said people wouldn't understand how strong Colton Wong is. Lower body, upper body, the complete package. He said this guy is strong. He said don't be surprised when you see some of those long home runs. It isn't surprising to us.
Well, he's not afraid to let it go, too. You know, I've always felt that power comes from not just hand strength and arm strength, but it comes from bat speed. You can have huge biceps and triceps and all that. If you've got no bat speed, you won't get it out of the infield. It has to be a combination of the two.
Jimmy Nelson is tough early on. 5 strikeouts through 3 innings. using the hashtag MWDataStrongFan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. 7, 8, and 9 in the lineup for the Milwaukee Brewers: Segura, Herrera, and Nelson. Gene Segura, one of those that's had good numbers against Lackey, 6 for 11 lifetime, 7 for 12 lifetime. First hit allowed by Lackey.
And there's that first pitch swinging we talked about earlier. The Brewers recognizing that once Lackey gets ahead of you, he's going to make it tough on you. Segura struck out 4 times in game 1 of this series.
There's the switch hitting Elian Herrera. Lackey has been much better at home than he has been on the road in terms of ERA. 1.89 at home at Busch Stadium, 4.22 on the road. And Segura is tied with Ryan Braun in terms of stolen bases to lead their club with 16. Herrera had one of the 2 hits for the Brewers yesterday, a single in the 3rd. Stranded there, only 1 runner got to second base.
You talked earlier about whether the Cardinals might want to test Jimmy Nelson, who's slow to the plate. On the Cardinals side, you wonder whether the Brewers would want to test Tony Cruz, who does a nice job behind the plate, but he's like everybody else. They're not Yadier Molina.
Second start of the road trip for John Lackey, 3 runs, 6 innings, and a 3-2 loss at Cincinnati. That was Tuesday night. How good has he been? It ended a 9-game stretch of Lackey giving up 2 runs or less, and at least 6 2/3 pitched. For the 36-year-old.
Well, I think what impressed us most about John Lackey in that start is the way he turned it around. After those 3 first-inning runs, I mean, he was just lights out the rest of the way and made it competitive, stayed in the game.
Remember, they batted around in that first inning. He gave up 5 hits, and then after that, a different pitcher. 5 innings, 1 hit allowed. He's riding a streak of 10 straight quality starts, including 4 in a row in his last 4 road starts. So the numbers tell you he's been very good this year. And the check on Segura.
Baseball tends to focus on numbers a lot, Dan, and of course, depending upon who you are, some love them and some like them and some kind of are a little ambivalent. But the point is, the numbers often confirm what you see. You know, the numbers are only as good as your eye test.
Off-speed pitch, he's running, and they got him. The pick by Peralta, the tag, and Cruz with a breaking ball catches Gene Segura, caught for the 4th time this year.
And the lead cheerleader, Yadier Molina.
And Craig Counsell wants to have this reviewed. Wonder if the tag was on the helmet, because to the naked eye it looked like he snuck in there.
There's the slide. Tag on the back.
Also got the helmet. He did. This would be the best view, I bet.
He's out. If he gets the helmet, he's out.
Well, the previous replay shows he did get just a piece of the helmet. So
and
if you put the 2 together,
just barely out too.
Right?
Isn't that amazing how quick you've got to be as an umpire to get that call? That's John Tumpain making that call at second base. John Hirschbeck is the crew chief. So here everybody in Milwaukee believes he's safe because they don't see the helmet call. They're going to be very disappointed if this goes the Cardinals' way. The only replay they saw up on the board here was the second one, which does not really show you whether he hit the helmet or not. We've seen about 3 views on the board, but none of them the view that we saw.
The first one that we saw, you can see him just clip the helmet ever so slightly. And then couple that with the second replay that definitely shows that if you include that he's hit on the helmet, he's out. It's a great call, and it's the right call.
And unfortunately, the fans here are getting a disservice of not seeing the replay that we saw on the scoreboard here that shows the tag to the helmet. You can see the helmet move. Barely out. And you've got some bewildered fans here, and I can't blame them.
Fly ball, deep right, Hayward back. The streak is over. Herrera, his 5th home run. Just the second from the left side of the plate. 1-0 Milwaukee.
Call it second even more important now.
That's something that Lackey has been outstanding with. He doesn't give up many home runs. Matter of fact, 19th fewest among all starters in Major League Baseball, and his 12th this year.
That one was sitting up in the top of the zone, and Herrera just jumped on it. Mentioned he doesn't hit a lot of them. So the streak is over. The potential distraction is over. Now you just go on and try to win the ball game.
38 1/3 innings.
And you know what competitors do. They say, okay, let's start another one.
Here's a 1-2 to Jimmy Nelson. Cruz will make the throw to first. This is not to make an excuse for John Lackey, but more of a question for you, Rick. How distracting would it be from your perspective as a pitcher, and this goes for any pitcher, that you have that call, takes a while to be overturned, and all of a sudden you got to amp it up. You haven't been throwing it all. He did not throw it all during that delay to all of a sudden get ready to pitch.
And this door swings both ways, and it's not just a Cardinal thing. We're talking about a pitcher thing. As you're asking me that question, and I would tell you that it would be difficult to handle because you are in such a zone, a focused zone that requires kind of you to work at a pace that you dictate, and anything that slows that down is a challenge. Not that it's not overcomable, but it's a challenge.
2-1 the count on Peterson, who saw his 6-game hitting streak end yesterday as he went 0 for 3. Brewers have used a number of players from the leadoff spot. Segura, Gomez, Parra, Jeanette, Lucroy, Davis, Braun. All of them have batted leadoff this season for the Milwaukee Brewers. This is Peterson's first ever start in the leadoff spot. He's been the primary fill-in since Carlos Gomez was traded to Houston. It's been 9 games now. He's hit .379 in that time. Full count with 2 outs and nobody on. Mentioned this on Friday night. Peterson was part of the Matt Holliday deal as he was a 2nd-round choice by the Cardinals, then traded to Oakland as part of that big trade that brought Matt Holliday to St. Louis. Taken just a bit low. Second walk in the game issued by John Lackey.
You know, the umpire review, Dan, I guess from John Lackey's point of view, you also could say it was worth the wait. If he'd have come back and they would have called him safe, I think that would have even been more of a challenge for him mentally. Again, I'm struck by the fact that that call was a correct call that was very difficult for us to see on multiple replays, but he was right on it.
There's Chris Davis, and Davis launches this one into left center field. Two-run homer. 3-0 Milwaukee. Davis with his 10th home run, RBIs 32 and 33. I think John Lackey was upset with ball 4 on Shane Peterson. I think he had strike 3 in his mind, and he went to share those thoughts with home plate umpire Angel Hernandez right after the home run.
Interesting, he was standing right there at home plate as runners were headed towards home plate. That's kind of an odd place for a pitcher to be, but I guess he figured he had a moment, might as well get his opinion out.
And Braun on a breaking ball lifts a fly ball into shallow right. Hayward is there, makes the catch. So 3 runs put up by the Brewers in the bottom of the 3rd. John Lackey, a conversation in the 3rd as well with home plate umpire Angel Hernandez as the runners are circling the bases. St. Louis, Cardinals trailing 3-0 here in the top of the 4th. And the first pitch is strike. 5 strikeouts so far for Jimmy Nelson. He has been sharp early on. Peralta grounded out to short his first time up.
You know, Dan, the pitching streak, the scoreless streak is over for the Cardinals staff, but still needs to be applauded.
A ground ball that's hit to 3rd, a broken bat. And there's one away.
And one of the things that happens when you're pitching well, you don't make mistakes. And we look back at that 3rd inning, a couple of mistakes by John Lackey, meant to be down. It's up out over the plate. That's Herrera's home run. And the second home run of the inning, also meant to be down and away, comes back over the plate, up in the zone again. And pitchers talk about making mistakes. That's 2 of them.
Jason Hayward with a double into right center. The Cardinals with 2 hits. The other an infield hit by Tony Cruz.
So one way to look at this game right now in terms of the feel for it, this is a challenge for the Cardinals offense.
Slowly hit to short. Segura, 2 down.
Figure out a way to get back in this game.
We talked about how the offense really overshadowed by the Cardinals pitching. But this month, Cardinals hitting .215 as a team and just over 3 runs per game. And again on the road during the 5 games, 198 the average.
Think about the absence of Matt Holliday into that equation. I think that certainly makes a difference. You think about the slump that happened for Matt Carpenter for a while that he's now out of, but Cardinals certainly looking for ways to turn those numbers around.
Grichuk on the first pitch, a high fly ball lifted down the right field line. Strike 1. I would hope there's more national attention that would start coming the way of Randal Grichuk in terms of Rookie of the Year. With 100 fewer at-bats, he has as many RBIs as Jock Peterson, 1 home run shy of Chris Bryant. Let that sink in a little bit. In 100 fewer at-bats. Gung of Pittsburgh will be mentioned in that as well with Noah Syndergaard. There's a base hit into right center.
Well, Dan, you and I have had this discussion many times, and in my mind, it has to do with voting when the season's over, not where we are right now.
Follow the Cardinals with MLB.com at bat, #1 app for live baseball. Get it for your smartphone or tablet. And so what you're saying is we've got a third of the way to go, and he might be thrust into that conversation.
Your piece of this is the fact that people are going to be affected in their vote ultimately by the groundswell of knowledge about what a guy's doing. And so there's an influence factor among those who will vote on this, which you are alluding to, which I can't disagree with. I like to think more idealistically is let's wait till the end of the season and see who did better. And just look at the numbers then. It's like voting. You don't want to vote for the president while there's 12 candidates. Let's find out what's really on the line here, and you won't know that till the end of September. But I think your point is, if I'm saying your point correctly, that there is an influence factor when it comes to national awards that starts to build right around now.
Yes, and I think Peterson got a ton of the attention early on with all the home runs and doing it for Los Angeles, a major market. There's so much talk about Chris Bryant. He may have been the most talked about player in spring training.
But if you're hitting .215, you're hitting .215. Isn't it that simple?
Peterson is hitting .224, Bryant .248.
And not just batting average. There are other metrics. There's home runs. There's RBIs. There's their defense. And the number of games you played, I think, is a factor. You know, by the time this is over, you would guess that Grichuk is going to stay regular. I mean,
but that's the other thing.
But 2 months ago,
he wasn't.
Exactly.
So the at-bats will pile up. He's looking at maybe 150 more at-bats. 0-2 on Brandon Moss, who struck out his first time up. But I think if you went to the average fan and just said, who do you think's Rookie of the Year, or who's being talked about in various cities? Chris Bryant's being talked about, Jock Peterson. No one's saying, well, Randal Grichuk.
Well, they can't even pronounce his name. Peterson and Bryant are a lot easier.
Grichuk, is that what? Ross strikes out. Miller. Cardinals strand their 3rd runner of the afternoon. 3-0 Milwaukee. If the Cardinals throw 9 strikeouts, get a free Monster Taco with any purchase tomorrow at Jack in the Box. A strike to Adam Lind. Lind flied to left his first time up. On deck, Jonathan Lucroy and then Scooter Gennett. Right around this time last year, John Lackey made a significant purchase. He purchased a Babe Ruth signed baseball and gave it to Pat Neshek so he could wear number 41. Neshek, a huge autograph collector. They picked up a rare Babe Ruth signed baseball. They had it authenticated. And apparently when Ruth was playing, he would put his name in quotes when he would sign. And they went to a few of the specialists around the country that know exactly if it's an original. And so that's how he got number 41 last year from Pat Neshek, who had a tremendous season for the Cardinals.
Not the kind of thing you just find anywhere.
No.
You got to do some work to get that.
And a foul ball. Neshek has appeared in 47 games for Houston this year with an ERA that's close to 3, but has done a very nice job out of that bullpen. Houston a 1.5 lead over the Angels in the AL West. It's another 0-2 pitch.
A lot of games left in the final third of the season. I think the middle third goes the slowest in baseball. The final third goes the fastest. You start getting towards September, the pennant race, the excitement of that. But it's very possible that we'll have 3 playoff teams from the National League Central Division. Wouldn't that be something?
You can make a case it's the toughest division in baseball. You wouldn't have said that 5 years ago.
Certainly the toughest at the top.
Here's a 2-2 pitch to Adam Lind, who had his first day off in 2 weeks yesterday. Sunshine now peeking through the clouds, and with the roof open at this ballpark in these start times, very difficult on the hitters. I've talked to the Cardinals over the years, and they mention how this could be a tough place to play day games in because of the fact that the pitcher is in the sunlight, hitters in the shade. The 2-2 out to center field. There's Grichuk. One away. Fox Sports Midwest proud to support the National Fallen Firefighters Stair Climb to honor and remember the firefighters that gave their lives on September 11th. That's Sunday, September 13th. Visit ClaytonStairClimb.com. Lind is 0 for 2, and it brings in Jonathan Lucroy. Mentioned the numbers for Lucroy last year. He had 53 doubles. So he lines it into right. Hayward sliding catch in, makes the play. Takes the hit away from Lucroy. Another gem from Jason Hayward in right.
Well, he made a great recovery on that because he did not get a good jump on that ball. But he showed his speed and the range that he has defensively. I don't believe he saw it very well off the bat. You talk about the kind of visual issue with sun and shade. I think he may have lost that for a split second. But charging at the end, very nice play.
Scooter Gennett lined into a double play. And he grounds it to second base in a quick 1-2-3 for John Lackey. We head to the 5th. 7, 8, 9 coming up for the Cardinals. Nice play by Hayward. 3-0 Brewers. minor league pitcher of the year a season ago, the PCL pitcher of the year as well. Originally selected by Cincinnati, 39th round in 2007, did not sign. Attended Alabama. It was picked by the Brewers in the second round of 2010. Stephen Piscotty rounded back to Nelson, first time up. 2 for 3 yesterday with a pair of RBIs. And the 0-1 pitch. 0-2.
You hear a lot about the fastball of Nelson, but I've been impressed with his slider here this afternoon. He's thrown some sharp pitches. Cardinals not getting a lot of good swings. Fastball, don't get me wrong, 94 is plenty good enough. But that slider is sharp.
And that was the pitch that really defined him in the minor leagues, to go along with that overpowering fastball at times. Right-handed hitters just at 199 this year against Nelson. So the Cardinals going with the 4 lefties in their lineup. Left-handed hitters around 290 against Jimmy Nelson.
Yeah, your thoughts earlier, Dan, about them trying to get him to throw a changeup more often, maybe get a bigger break on his slider. You tell me a guy's a hard slider, 94 fastball guy, those are his 2 pitches. My answer would be, okay, that guy's a reliever. And you've got to have a third pitch. It's just necessary for survival in this game.
Here's the 0-2. After the break in this run that Nelson is on, he faced Pittsburgh, Arizona, the Chicago Cubs, and San Diego. Last start 6 2/3, only 3 hits, 1 run. That was an unearned run. Here's a 1-2. The 2-2. Scotty reaches for it. Second time he's done that, and he's 0 for 2. Let's check in with Jim Hayes. Jimmy.
Dan, every pitcher in the Cards starting rotation has a sub-3 ERA. Pretty impressive. Jaime Garcia's is sub-2. Jaime threw 7 scoreless last night to drop his ERA to 1.77. Pitching coach Derek Lilliquist says the thing that stands out to him is Jaime's maturity. He says the biggest indicator of that maturity is what Jaime's done since coming back from his latest injury, a groin issue. Lilliquist points out Jaime had just 1 rehab start. Lilliquist says you can't come back that quickly and pitch that well unless you have achieved a certain level of maturity. He says Jaime wasn't thrown by the quick return, Dan.
I think you'd have to say, as Tony Cruz takes a ball low and away, that everyone is surprised. How can you not be with the injury history, not knowing what to expect? And it's been a pleasant surprise to watch Garcia.
Well, Derek Lilliquist, we mentioned yesterday, deserves a lot of credit for what this Cardinal staff is doing as Cruz pops out. But his point is a very good one. I mean, you'll hear pitchers say, well, I couldn't get the feel. I've only had 1 start. I've been off for this many days. I mean, there were a lot of built-in excuses for Jaime Garcia not to be sharp. But instead of taking those excuses, he just has gone out and performed. And to his credit, I think that's a mature way of handling a return from an injury.
John Lackey, strike 1. And Rick, it's been efficiency too. He's going deeper into games this year, more so than he did at any point in time in his career, even when healthy. Very efficient, deeper into games, a lot of ground balls. So if he does have a walk or a base hit, those are eliminated with double plays. It's been fun to watch. And in terms of bringing him back and talking about Jaime Garcia, you'd have to think it's changed how the Cardinals are looking at him right now with a couple of options that they hold.
Well, in this game, things change quickly. And so you have to be you never really make a decision until you have to in this game when it comes to contracts, etc., because what a difference a month can make. And you thought even a month ago, you think, well, where is Jaime's going to be? How are we going to feel about him in September? He's hurt, and is he going to come back sharp enough? And now all of a sudden he's a guy you can count on again. It's just baseball.
7 strikeouts for Jimmy Nelson. We're midway through 5. 3-0 Milwaukee. And a couple of home runs in this game. The difference so far, Elian Herrera had snapped the scoreless inning streak at 38 1/3. And then a 2-run homer by Chris Davis following the walk to Shane Peterson. The AT&T Uverse Rewind. Segura, Herrera, and Nelson. 3-0 Milwaukee. Just to further the point about Jaime Garcia, that was the 13th shutout yesterday put together by the Cardinals. 5 of the 13, Rick, have been against the Milwaukee Brewers this year.
We've been talking about the Brewers kind of decline since a year ago. And you really got to look at the offense and say that's a big part of it. Francisco Rodriguez has done a nice job at the back end of games, so it's not kind of the closer issue, which sometimes leads to a team's demise. But there was a time where you're talking about coming out of a game against Milwaukee and giving up 4 or less runs. You'd be happy with that. Braun at his best. Gomez at his best. Lucroy. Aramis Ramirez.
Dangerous lineup at times.
Jeanette at the beginning of the season a year ago. Guys like Ricky Weeks on this team. I mean, they had power. There's a lineup that would scare you. And Segura.
Segura is 2 for 2. Arquilla in the driver's seat, taking a look at the Cardinals pitching. First hit allowed since the Davis home run back in the 3rd by John Lackey. But it brings in Herrera, who homered earlier. Fewest runs allowed, 317, than the Mets, Pittsburgh, Dodgers, and Kansas City. Kia in the driver's seat. Segura was stealing back in the 3rd, was caught. And a slow roller hit to the right side. Moss to second, out there, back to the bag at first. It's a double play. 3-6-1 on the double play. Second turn by the Cardinals.
I've always felt that this was one of the most difficult double plays to turn. The first baseman has to leave the bag, so the pitcher has to cover, and you've got to run right to the bag. It's not like you're covering first base on a ground ball. You've got to go straight to the bag, turn, and about a third of a second later, the ball's coming at you. And oftentimes the shortstop's throwing the ball to you, hoping that you'll be there. I mean, there's not a lot of time to get that play right.
Brings in Jimmy Nelson. Not much of a hitter. 119 his career mark.
And a little kind of idiosyncrasy to that play. If you think about a left-handed pitcher doing that, you've got the glove away from the shortstop and where the throw's coming from, and it's a little tougher, I would say. The right-hander at least can be kind of visually looking through his glove at the shortstop and then try to get the bag. For a lefty, I find it an awkward play to make.
Things are always hard for you left-handers.
For various reasons, yes.
And a strikeout to Jimmy Nelson.
You can work that out with Al.
No thanks. Friday, August 14th. Two Cardinal players, current Cardinal players, will sign autographs in the Ford Plaza for fans 15 and under. Two former Cardinals will sign for fans of all ages. Just visit cardinals.com/promotions. This Friday against the Marlins. Dan Jennings will be back in the front office for the Marlins next year. While we have a moment, our players to watch presented by DraftKings, DraftKings.com. Enter promo code CARDS. Most triples in the National League this season. David Peralta with 8. Grichuk with 7. Charlie Blackmon and then Ben Revere. 6 with the Phillies and now with Toronto.
Some would say the most exciting play in baseball is a triple.
Get to see the speed. The defense, if a ball is hitting the gap, has to perform the relay properly. Bang bang plays at the bag.
Some like home runs, and they'd like the majestic home runs, and they would believe that to be the most exciting thing that you could see at the park. But I do like the triple for all the reasons you mentioned. I mean, you got more things at work at one time, a lot of movement going on, and Randall Grichuk has been, as we've stated many times, a very exciting player and right in the middle of a lot of those.
Last 9 games has seen Carpenter back in that familiar spot of leadoff. He's hit close to 400. Had a leadoff homer yesterday. Only 3 other Cardinals since 1900 have hit 4 or more leadoff home runs in one season. Lou Brock hit 5 in 1967 and 1970. Ray Langford was a leadoff man at one point. Hit 5 in 1994. Les Mann hit 4 in 1921. By the way, wasn't it great to have Lou in the booth the other night?
Oh my goodness, that was terrific.
What a gentleman.
shadows, by the way, no longer a factor as they've gone past the mound. So being in the shade or being in the sun, neither of those are a problem. But being partially in one and partially in the other from pitcher to hitter, that's the problem. So
That's the issue.
I would think players would not have a bad hitting background right now.
2 balls, 1 strike on Carpenter, who is 0 for 2, trying to extend his hitting streak to 6 games. Lifts a fly ball out to left field. Chris Davis, plenty of room, 1 away. Edward Jones pleased to sponsor the Hall of Fame and the annual induction process that gives fans a voice in honoring the team's greatest players. And that's Simmons, Flood, Kissel, and Forsch. That's coming up, our Hall of Fame induction ceremony.
I believe it's Ted Simmons' birthday today, along with Jason Hayward. Julian Javier also, all 3 Cardinals born on this day. And Matt Morris. Actually 4, covering many generations.
Matt Morris turns 41 today. Boy, when he first came up, he was electric.
I believe when he first came up, he was everything that that Adam Wainwright was when he first came up. I think Matt had 20-game winner written all over him. You know, he had an injury that he had to overcome, went to the bullpen, was used the following season in an odd way as a multi-inning pitch every 4th day guy, and that's kind of all they wanted to do to build up his strength. He's on the team, but he's had a very limited role. But when he was young and in his prime, I thought he had a chance to be one of the Cardinal greats in terms of numbers. Now, he's still a great pitcher, but were it not for injuries, he would be talked about, I think, in the same breath as a Bob Forsch, Carpenter, Wainwright.
When he came back, I was doing the first game back after Tommy John. He hit 100 on the gun. We were in Arizona. We're thinking, holy smokes. And he had that just true 12-6 breaking ball. One of the fastest workers in recent history, too. I know you're excited to see Bob Forsch headed to the Cardinals Hall of Fame.
Yeah, one of my favorite teammates, and certainly miss Bob. But what he gave to this organization in so many ways is just a treasure. Not just what he did on the field, but what he did in the clubhouse and St. Louis community. Curt Flood, one of the great Cardinals of all times, and of course George Kissel, the great teacher.
Why is Flood not in baseball's Hall of Fame? Great player, and then couple that with how he changed the game off the field.
He was a great player and an important player.
Slowly hit, tough play here. Segura gloves and throws, safe at first. Cardinals pick up their 4th hit of the day, and 2 of those have been infield hits.
I thought he was out initially. Looking at it one more time, and I believe Milwaukee lost their challenge. They did on the stolen base, so even if they wanted to challenge that, they can't. Close play goes the Cardinals' way.
And it brings in Peralta trying to bust out of an 0 for 13. 16 home runs this year. 6 of the 16, by the way, have come in the last 9 games for the Cardinal shortstop.
Would you believe, Dan, that you could count on one hand the number of times that a manager wasn't able to use a challenge in a situation because they lost their challenge early on? Less than 5.
And a lot of times it's a manager going out and then they'll make it a crew chief review. If they've spent that challenge, you'll get a lot of those as well late in games.
So the system, I think, works well.
Wong, the runner at first base. Cardinals down by 3. We mentioned that Jimmy Nelson is slow to the plate, does not hold runners on very well. You're down by 3. Let's see how the Cardinals want to play it. St. Louis, by the way, they have won 8 straight series against the Brewers. Last time they lost a series to Milwaukee was in 2012.
Dan, how you play this is got a lot of different factors involved. You're down, number one. You're down 3 runs in the 6th inning. Peralta can get you within 1 with 1 swing of the bat. But you have not gotten anything going offensively, and maybe a little movement will help jumpstart that. So you kind of put those 2 things together, make the best choice you can, and there is no right or wrong. It's always going to be a feel for the manager.
And the 1-2 is lifted into right. Wong goes halfway. The catch made by Braun. And there's 2 outs. San Francisco at Chicago today. That's a key game in the wild card race. Top of 4. The Cubs lead 2-0. Cubs are trying for their first 4-game sweep of the Giants at Wrigley since 1977. They've opened up a 2.5 game lead in front of San Francisco for that final wild card spot. It's Arrieta against Peavy.
They're hot, but they're not as hot as the team that you really like, Toronto.
Wong is running, and a stolen base, number 13.
That's a stolen base with a stumble. He about fell down halfway to the bag. The jump was good, but then the balance wasn't. There he goes. There's a little stumble. And the Cardinals electing to have him steal with 2 outs. Now playing for the run. Go ahead and take the base now. Give Peralta a chance to swing first, but now try to make something happen with 2 outs.
So 2 outs, runner at second, and an 0-1 pitch. Hayward, a broken bat, little looper, base hit into center. Wong will score, and the streak for Jimmy Nelson comes to a close. RBI for Hayward, number 37. He's 2 for 3, and it's a 3-1 game.
Broken bat. Nelson's been so good with that slider today. The stolen base becomes important.
And now the tying run comes to the plate, and Randal Grichuk.
Steal another. Nelson thinking the same. They've already mistakenly had 3 runs on the board for the Cardinals. Now they've just changed it back to 1.
A little foreshadowing, maybe.
I wonder. Somebody a little ahead of themselves.
Cardinals, the comeback win, second most with 32. Down 3-0 in this game, now 3-1. 1-0 pitch to Grichuk. Yeah, I'm with you. Talking about, again, Nelson slow to the plate. Not much of a move. Hayward has only been caught twice with 18 stolen bases. Why not go for it?
One of the why not reasons that you have to balance it against is the fact that you've got the tying run at the plate and the guy that's most likely to hit the ball out of here.
Hayward has stolen 10 in a row.
By the way, a double for Grichuk would score Hayward probably too. And he gets plenty of those.
2-1 the count. So Hayward is 2 away from his 3rd season of 20 or more. Off-speed pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Grichuk has struck out and singled to center.
I'm a little more in favor of trying to take a base when you've got 2 strikes on your power hitter. Maybe a little more of a defensive swing in that situation, so go ahead and take it.
In the dirt. Definitely running now. 3-2, 2 outs. Two strikes, a 188 average for Randal Grichuk.
We won't include that on the Rookie of the Year resume sheet.
No, sir.
Throw that graphic away.
And a high fly ball into center field. Shane Peterson puts it away. The Cardinals get to Jimmy Nelson finally. They pick up a run. We've got a ball game. It's 3-1. Tuesday at 6:30. It's presented by Budweiser. Good matchups for the 3-game series. Martinez in lock game 1, Waka and Garrett Cole in game 2, and it's Lance Lynn and Francisco Liriano in game number 3 on Thursday. Shane Peterson, top of the lineup, back to Lackey, 1 pitch, 1 out. John Lackey has had 1 bad inning today, and that's the 2 home runs he allowed and the 3 runs, and that's been it.
So similar to his last start, but the damage came in the first inning.
17 of 19 first pitch strikes. Low pitch count again. And it brings in Davis. He was drafted in the 7th round back in 2009 by Milwaukee. Ryan Braun had to serve his long suspension. That gave Davis an opportunity to play. And he opened up some eyes with 11 home runs in 2013. And was the starter in left field a year ago.
Really got me excited there, Dan, talking about the Pirates coming into town.
Popped up to the right side. Brandon Moss, 2 down. How can he not be? It's been a great series.
Yeah, it's become a great series. I don't know, rivalry is really the right word. I feel like it's very much like when the Cardinals would play the Astros 10 years ago, that the Astros and the Cardinals year after year were both good 1-2, 1-2 competitive games, but not necessarily the long-standing historical rivalry. You're just talking about 2 very good teams, and that's the way the Pirates and the Cardinals have been the last few years.
But also think about how some of these games have ended. Earlier in the year, the Cardinals, the 3 consecutive walk-offs. Then Pittsburgh, and that it was just a bloodbath going both sides. That 4-game series prior to the All-Star break. Long games, late games. In steps Ryan Braun, who's 0 for 2. Here's a 1-1. Ryan Braun replaced Matt Holliday on the All-Star team this year. 6th time as an All-Star. And the first time since serving his suspension back in 2013. Two outs and a 2-1 pitch. 2-2. Braun is 0 for 2 today. Grounded to first, fly to right. The 2-2. Watch out. Swing and a miss. Braun strikes out. Pirates and Cardinals right around the corner. Wong walks it off. Base hit. Cardinals win. Adams delivers. Cosmo the winning run down at third. Here it comes. This should do it. The Redbirds walk it off against the Pirates. Hit a home run. The Gateway Honda dealers donate $1,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So Jimmy Nelson pitching into the 7th inning. Brandon Moss, Stephen Piscotty, Tony Cruz. And it's 3-1 Milwaukee. Jimmy, a big kid, 6'6", 243 pounds. As Moss taps it to the right side, hustling down the line, and beats it out for an infield hit. The 3rd infield hit for the Cardinals.
I've been thinking about how teams are going to start to defend the shift where the second baseman plays out in shallow right field, and now the planned infield roller is not really the way to do it, but I wonder if teams are going to start drag bunting a little bit more as a way to beat that shift. It would basically produce the same result there. You make the second baseman have to make a play like that on the run, flipping with his glove. That's not going to work. And if you've got any kind of ability to get that bunt down on the right side, that could be a buck for the future.
A look at the Mazda game summary. If you're just joining us, get you caught up. 3-1 Milwaukee. Lackey gave up a couple of home runs, but only 4 hits today. Hayward 2 for 3 with a double RBI. Nelson still pitching and pitching well. Tying run at the plate. That pitch taken high by Stephen Piscotty. Athletic family that Nelson comes from. His dad threw shot put and discus at the University of Florida. Mom was a basketball player at Florida State. And now, as we mentioned, could be considered the ace the second half for Milwaukee. Right side, will it find a hole? Base hit. Moss stops it at second base. And Piscotty, little roller to the right side and a base hit. There's activity now in the Milwaukee pen, and a left-hander is up and throwing. They have 2.
So talking about beating the shift, and there's a couple of shifts on. This time Jeanette's playing deep second base, the slow roller, and he can't get there in time to get Moss. Now he's playing at double play depth, so he's pinching towards the second base bag. That opens up a big hole on the right side of the infield. So back-to-back plays, not Jeanette's fault, but the Cardinals beat his positioning.
Are you surprised that Moss is not at third?
I'm thinking the same thing. Ball was not hit very hard. Yes, Braun has a big arm in right.
This Cruz bunts it foul.
And one of the reasons I'm surprised at that is I think sometimes you have to take into consideration, is Braun really even going to try to get the runner at third base with nobody out? So there's the reaction. He does have to wait for the ball. That's the reason. If he's able to get off from first initially, Braun's not going to want to throw to third because he does not want Piscotty to go to second, representing the tying run.
So now you have Tony Cruz at the plate.
Bunted to third.
2 runners on, nobody out. Cruz 1 for 2, an infield hit and a soft liner that was caught by second baseman Scooter Gennett. Bunts it in the air, but that'll get the job done. Cruz will not beat it out as Gennett stretches for the baseball.
Well, that worked out okay for the Cardinals. Tony Cruz almost bunting in a little bit of self-defense. Falls backwards after he bunts, so he gets a terrible jump out of the box. You wonder, how can he not beat that out? Well, he can't beat it out because look where he ends up. He's going backwards. Now he's taken off, so Herrera overruns it, but still has enough time to get Cruz. Kind of awkward play, but mission accomplished.
And the former Brewer, Mark Reynolds, will pinch hit for John Lackey. This is more the spot the Cardinals envisioned in signing Mark Reynolds. He's hit .211 with runners in scoring position, but to give you that threat off the bench. And here we go.
He's a threat off the bench, but in some ways, and I realize you want to give Yachty the full day off, but a contact hitter here, because the one thing you don't want is the strikeout.
1 out, 2 on. Reynolds takes a pitch in the dirt. I was thinking the same thing. You know, you're going for it here in a way with Reynolds, but with Molina, you're thinking, especially with the runner not at first base, you're not going to hit into a double play. He's going to put the ball in play.
And look, Mark Reynolds is who he is, and he is the threat you're talking about. But what you want more right now is somebody to make contact. The infield's back. A base hit scores 2. You don't need a home run. You'd like it, of course.
Reynolds off of Nelson. And not breaking for home was Moss. And Reynolds is tagged out.
Base running mistake by Brandon Moss. He had plenty of time to score on that. Did not read it well. Piscotty was all the way to third base already. Crazy play here. Off the pitcher. Piscotty's on the run. There's 2 guys at third. And if Reynolds does not back up here, it's a double play. Because Piscotty did not have enough time to get back to second base otherwise. There's the break. Doesn't see it well. Would have been able to score. So here's what we're talking about with Piscotty. He reads it. I'm going to get the third. Oh, somebody's there already. And again, Reynolds backing up gives him time to get back to the second base bag. Otherwise, it would have been a big disaster. Good at bat for Reynolds. Didn't get a break.
Interesting here. Left-hander was up and throwing to face in this spot, potentially Matt Carpenter. And they'll stick with the right-hander. Carpenter 240 against lefties, 279 against the right-handers. He is 0 for 3 today. With runners in scoring position, Carpenter is hitting .359, which is tops on the club. Runners at second and third. Base hit could tie this game up.
Like the Brewers trying to find out something about Jimmy Nelson by leaving him in.
Also, maybe not a lot of faith in your bullpen. This may be your best bet to win the game.
And there are times the left-hander is up with the idea, okay, if Reynolds gets a base hit and it's tied, you're in. You will face Matt Carpenter. But by getting out Reynolds, even though it was hit hard, Craig Counsell wants to see if he can finish this inning.
1 ball, 1 strike on Matt Carpenter. Carpenter hits it a ton. Deep right field. This baby is gone. Cardinals go on top. Carpenter, a bomb into right. St. Louis with the lead. He now leads the team in home runs. Get the water. Yes. 17 long balls for Carpenter.
Well, you found out something, all right.
Not what they wanted.
Almost a frustrating ending to a promising inning for the Cardinals, and Matt Carpenter again bails it out. What a couple of weeks he's had.
His 5th home run with runners in scoring position and 2 outs this year. The 2-0. A high strike to Wong. Was an infield hit. He is struck out and grounded out.
So John Lackey all of a sudden on the positive side of a 4-3 score with another quality start.
You have 2 lefties out there. There are 4 left-handers in this lineup today for the Cardinals. This is our Gateway Honda home run inning, and the Honda dealers donate $1,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Getting closer to your mobile on the run read, which I can't wait to hear.
You earned it.
I want to hear. I want it louder.
3-2 is fouled back. Please stay in your seat. It wasn't even coming close to the booth. Relax. I've got you.
I didn't go away from it. I went towards it.
I could tell that was going right over my head. You're to my right.
You see, Danny,
there's no issues.
You have to practice your jumps.
Even up here.
Even up here.
No false steps.
Don't take things for granted. Got to work hard every day. Give 100%.
A strikeout of Wong. Matt Carpenter with home run number 17. He's now up to 60 driven in. Did they go at the lefty? They didn't. He knew it. Cardinals go on top with one swing of the bat against Jimmy Nelson. 4-3 as we stretch on this Sunday afternoon in Milwaukee. They're having some fun. Matt Carpenter with a 3-run homer to put the Cardinals on top 4-3 as we move to the bottom of the 7th. And you pointed it out earlier, Ricky, this was a game, at least initially, first couple of innings, the Cardinals had chances and did not cash in. Well, they did with one swing of the bat.
They sure did, and they actually hit a lot of balls hard in that inning. The at-bat for Mark Reynolds was a good at-bat. Didn't get the result, but Carpenter's home run, no question about that result, as he hit it over the bullpen in right field, and Carpenter has been tremendous the last couple of weeks. Randy Choate, our Chevy call to the bullpen, appearance number 55 for Randy. The Cardinals now have the luxury of having 3 left-handers in their bullpen. Kind of long thought that was a good idea, because there are times where you want to use Choate against a specific guy, and you may not want to go straight to Segrist every time. So having 3 lefties, in my mind, is a good plan.
So Adam Lynn will face Randy Choate. If you're wondering what Carpenter had done against the lefties of Milwaukee, against Neil Kotz, Carpenter was 2 for 6. Against Will Smith, very good numbers, 5 for 11. That may have been some of the thought process there for Craig Counsell.
Well, if Milwaukee's 2 games out of first place and they've got hopes of playing in September, it may be different than saying we've got a young pitcher, we want to find out who he is. And I think that is part of what you run into when you've got the haves and the have-nots playing towards the end of the year, and I mean that in terms of their record. There's a development thing that's in the mind of Craig Counsell, which is a reasonable thing to be thinking about. Of course he wants to win every game, but he also wants to develop Jimmy Nelson. And this experience won't be a good one for Jimmy Nelson when he looks back on it, but it might be part of his growth. Here's a 2-1 pitch to Adam Lynn.
3-1. So Choate is here to face Lynn, and then the Cardinals, you would assume, would go back to their bullpen. Jonathan Lucroy is on deck. Choate comes in and walks the first man. So Seth Maness will come in. Nobody out, runner at first. Maness will face Jonathan Lucroy with a runner and Adam Lind at first base. It's our Chevy called to the pen. Sunday, September 13th, you'll be taken on a route through downtown St. Louis. Finish on the field at Busch Stadium. The run benefits area kids through Cardinals Care. For more information and to sign up, go to cardinals.com/6K. Last time we saw Seth Maness in appearance number 55. It was his 4th win of the season in extra innings. He went 2 innings, walked 2, but picked up the victory. Here's Lucroy.
Lucroy has hit into 16 double plays, which puts him 1 off the National League lead in that department. So Seth Maness gets a lot. Lucroy hits into a lot. That's the result that Mike Matheny is hoping for here.
There's your double play ball. Out at second. It's a double play. The 3rd turned by the Cardinals this afternoon.
Pitch location on our Plaza Tire Fox tracks. Down and in. That's how you draw it up, but you still have to execute it. And Seth Maness did.
Rick, we talk about the shifts and defensive alignment. You know, Carpenter was basically a step or 2 off the line in facing Lucroy in that particular spot.
I'm not sure teams are doing this, Dan, but I would recommend that they do, and I'm sure that they do on some level. At the end of every season, get all the math guys together, get all of the baseball guys together, get them in a room and discuss what worked and what didn't work, and kind of throw out suggestions for how can we beat the shift better than we have, and how can we improve the shifts that we're doing. And I'm sure those conversations happen, but I think you need both in there. I think you need the numbers, but I think you need the baseball veteran coaches that understand kind of how those numbers come about in the same room at the same time to kind of come up with the strategy going forward. Why I was talking about beating that second baseman playing deep shift has got to be on everybody's agenda for 2016. too many hits being taken away on the right side of the infield.
Here's Gene Segura, 2 for 2. Cardinals bullpen trying to hold it for John Lackey. He's in line for the victory. Lackey 6 innings, 3 runs on 4 hits, struck out 3, walked 2, and gave up 2 home runs. A short lead at first by Scooter Gennett. No steals this year. And it's 1 ball and 1 strike.
It's always been easy to figure out that Randy Choda's warming up in the bullpen when we can't see a number.
Long way to go for Hayward, and it's out of play.
And now we've got the same issue with Steve Cishek when he starts getting loose. Clearly, we know it's him.
Nobody in the ballpark, nobody in the state throws like Cishek. That's Steve Cishek, and you know it.
Exactly.
First multi-hit game for Segura this afternoon since July 21st against Cleveland. When he first arrived here in Milwaukee, I thought this is going to be some kind of player. And not to say he won't be.
Still could be.
But he has tailed off from what we first saw.
Interested to see this afternoon how Mike Matheny uses his bullpen. I think he's still trying to figure out, you know, who are the 7, 8, 9 guys. I think 9's pretty cut and dried, Trevor Rosenthal, but 7 and 8, I think that's kind of a moving target right now, don't you?
Broxton, Cishek,
Seacrest,
and Seacrest, right?
So you say there's 3 guys, and maybe you'd say it's Seacrest and Cishek are the 8th inning guy, depending upon left and right. And maybe it's Seacrest and Broxton are, depending upon availability. So again, not so standard as it's been in the past, Dan, where this is the 7th inning guy, this is the 8th, this is the 9th.
Pitch taken up and in, and now the tying run is in scoring position. The go-ahead run will be at first base. As promised earlier in the game, it's our T-Mobile fan photo. Hashtag MWDataStrongFan. Derek Lilliquist out to visit now with Seth Maness.
I feel like seeing a Seth Maness walk is a little bit like seeing Halley's Comet. I mean, you're just not going to get too many of them. You better be looking. You better be ready for it. They just don't happen very often.
Just his 8th this year, and 2 of the 8 have been intentional. If you're looking as we do at the Cardinals as to why they win so many games with what has been a lack of offense, pitching, and then diving further into the numbers, the Cardinals are holding the opponent to 194 average with runners in scoring position. They started keeping track of that stat in 1974. It's the best all time.
So it's a kind of mirror image of what the Cardinals did 2 years ago on the offensive side.
Herrera at this spot is 2 for 11. Runner in scoring position, 2 outs, 182 is average. One ball, 1 strike.
Maness to me looks like he's throwing a little too hard. The ball's jumping out of his hand, but sinking's better than jumping for Seth Maness.
The 2-1. 2-2. Outfield arms, all very good for the Cardinals. Piscotty, Grichuk, and Hayward.
Such a plus in a one-run game late, isn't it?
The 2-2. May have chased ball 4. Is a fly ball into center field. Randall Grichuk is there, and Maness is out of the jam. The Brewers strand 2. They've left 5 on today. 4-3 as we head to the 8th. Let's go to our studio in a Bommarito Sports Update. All right, Pat, thank you. Our Chevy call to the pen takes us to the Brewers left-hander, appearance number 53 for Will Smith.
Well, Dan, you were right on it. Perhaps a bit late for the Cardinals to see Will Smith. He had maybe the opportunity to come in to face Carpenter and Wong, the left-handers. Now they're through the left-handers. Now we're at the right-hander, Peralta, yet he's in the game. Nelson was very good, though, other than a couple of mistakes in that inning. No walks, 8 strikeouts for Nelson, so certainly a bright future for him. Lackey, by the way, in his 6 innings of work, Dan, threw 66 pitches only.
That's it.
That's it. Barely got loose.
Wow. Ground ball that's hit to short off the bat of Johnny Peralta. 1 away. Cardinals fans, did you know the StubHub app is personalized just for you? Now with the StubHub app, you can select your favorite teams and artists and discover new ones too. Start at StubHub and let the fun find you. StubHub, the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the Cardinals. Here's Jason Hayward, who's 2 for 3. Picked up a 2-out RBI base hit on a broken bat, single to left in the 6th.
Danny, let's go back to when we first saw Matt Carpenter in spring training. Think about the very first time he was in spring training, trying to make the team. Kind of knew this guy's a good player. In your wildest imagination, did you think of him as a 20-plus home run guy at the time?
No. I'll never forget talking to Mark McGuire at the time, and I think John Mabry was the assistant hitting coach, and they were trying to get him to pull the ball with authority. Remember, he just kind of flailed at it.
Exactly.
You'd see the soft liners down the line. You didn't see him turn on a lot of pitches as Hayward grounds out to second base. But he's made the adjustment clearly, now up to 17 home runs. I did say at the time to a scout when Matt Carpenter was coming off the bench in 2012, I said, what do you think about this guy being an everyday player? He was not an everyday player. And he said, if I could trade for him, I'd love to find out. He said, I think he's a good player.
Well, he got that one right.
Because you think about it, some guys, you know, they get labeled as, well, he's a good presence off the bench. He'll be a good pro for a number of years. And remember, too, he was moving around the outfield and the infield at that point. He was third base, first base, pinch hitting, little left, little right. We had no idea he could be an everyday second baseman, which he did.
And back to the power part, 2 home runs his rookie season in 2009. A full season, 3 different clubs. He had 2 home runs. The next season, he had 13. The following season, 12 in AAA. So I could see that. But 20-plus in the big leagues? I've heard people say that about George Brett, who discovered his power actually as his big league career moved on. Kind of found his swing, his power stroke, and clearly Carpenter's found it.
Well, he said, and we talked about it on Friday, he was making a conscious effort to be a little bit more aggressive earlier in counts, if he could, and try to discover the power that he had in the playoffs last year. And why couldn't he do that for a full season? Catches the outside corner and a strikeout of Pritchett. So Will Smith, a 1-2-3 inning. Clubs of America, Boys and Girls Clubs help young people to reach their full potential as productive, caring adults. For more information, visit foxsportsupports.com. I'm going to further the question, not to put words in your mouth, but if you would have said to me 3 weeks ago, do you think Matt Carpenter is going to hit 20? 3 weeks ago, I would have said no way.
Well, he was not swinging the bat well. In fact, it was not really driving the ball. And the strikeouts were starting to pile up a bit, and just so happy that Matt's got it back on track again. And again, leading this Cardinals offense. Kevin Segrist is the answer today as to who will pitch the 8th inning. I think that's probably the most standard answer. And talk about coming back. A year ago, Segrist not as good as he was in 2013, but he's been lights out this season. Used his changeup much more effectively, much more often.
The pinch hitter is Rogers, and that's a base hit with a broken bat into left field. So again, Milwaukee with the tying run on.
This one's up. Again, off the end of the bat, so the bat is now an X-bat.
Went down a hero, didn't it?
It went down a hero. You know that's my favorite line.
That's why I said it to you. Shane Peterson walked and scored in the 3rd, is flied out to center and also grounded out. Cardinals have turned 3 double plays today. Lackey 6 innings. Choate came in to start the 7th. Walked Lynn. Then Manus got a double play. Then pitched out of trouble. No run scored, and now it's Kevin Segrist.
Peterson was doing such a nice job as a pinch hitter. Brewers felt like it was time to give him some more playing time. He's responded. 7 for 18 as a pinch hitter. Called upon to bunt here.
The 2-0. 3-0. Cardinals have Jonathan Broxton getting loose in the pen.
It's frustrating here as they're trying to give you an out.
Two right-handers throwing in the pen for Milwaukee. Jeffress and Rodriguez. 3-1 pitch from Kevin Segrist. Instead of check on the runner. Fun ball game today.
It sure has been. What a moment. Carpenter's home run in the 7th inning.
Bunts it to Carpenter. Will get the man at first. And advancing Rogers to second base. Actually, it's Schaefer now, the pinch runner for Rogers. So he's in scoring position. And it brings in Chris Davis.
Feel like a little bit of a victory there when you get an out after being down 3-0 in the count. And
he may have gone after ball 4,
may
too.
have.
Cardinals will make the change. Broxton coming on when we come back. Returns to face his former team, the Milwaukee Brewers. Chevy called to the pen. The tying run at second base. And the go-ahead run will come to the plate in the form of Chris Davis.
Numbers not good overall for Jonathan Broxton, but he's been good as a Cardinal.
You mentioned something to me about Broxton in back-to-back games in which he can struggle when he's back-to-back. However, he hasn't pitched since the 6th. Today's the 9th. We'll see, just where the velocity is, how his stuff looks.
Some guys are just better when they're stronger. Not just the fastball, but the breaking pitch as well. And really, that's been his kind of story of his season, that he hasn't been as strong the second day back, but certainly an important situation for him here, pitching in the 8th inning. He's going to be a 7th, 8th, 9th inning guy. I mean, he's going to be a late guy. We're going to see a lot of Broxton down the stretch.
And a fly ball lifted out to deep right field. Hayward is back. He's at the wall, and it's gone. 2-run homer, Chris Davis, his second of the afternoon.
Chris Davis is red hot. He hit 2 3-run home runs on Thursday, and now he's got 2 2-run home runs on Sunday. And that one being a home run to give Milwaukee the lead.
Braun is 0 for 3 today.
Talked about location, and there's another pitch up. Middle of the plate. Davis showing his power the other way. Hayward giving the effort. Too well struck.
Little chopper to short. Peralta makes the play. There's 2 down. For Davis, his 4th career multi-home run game. 3rd time he has done that this season. Looking ahead to the 9th, the Cardinals have Moss, Piscotty, and Cruz due up.
This game has taken some turns, hasn't it?
I'd say.
Well, it may not be done turning.
K-Rod is getting loose. Francisco Rodriguez, the closer for Milwaukee. 2 outs, nobody on for Adam Lynn. Strike 1. Inning started with a base hit by Rogers. Off the bench, sacrificed by Peterson. Davis, 2-run homer. Braun grounds out, and the 0-1. Long way to go for Colton Wong, and he makes the play. Broxton comes in, and a 2-run shot for Chris Davis. Hit number 10 earlier. This one number 11. Just enough. The opposite way. best record when leading or tied after 8 innings. Milwaukee 47-2. K-Rod has converted 30 straight save opportunities, including all 25 chances this year. So Chevy called to the pen. Last time that he blew a save was August 27th of last year against San Diego. So 30 in a row. That's second best. Mark Melancon 33 consecutive saves converted. The Pittsburgh Pirate closer.
And they almost didn't re-sign Rodriguez. It's a good thing they did.
Here's Brandon Moss. Has an infield hit today and a run scored. He's 1 for 3. Shift is on for Moss.
Best numbers offensively for a Cardinal against Rodriguez. Those numbers belong to Yadier Molina.
And it wouldn't surprise anybody to see him pinch hit for Tony Cruz. Piscotty on deck and then Tony Cruz. Rodriguez a 1.41 ERA this year.
For you to do that promo, the Cardinals need to score 6 runs, right? Needed it anyway.
Nine walks, 44 strikeouts this year, and 38 in the third. Moss gets under it. Pops it up a mile high. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Cardinals. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals.
You know, Will Smith had a pretty important inning in the 8th inning because he was facing the middle of the Cardinals order and got him out 1-2-3. Setting up what happened in the bottom of the 8th inning.
Piscotty, a little bouncer left side. 2 down. A reminder that Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Budweiser. Make a plan to make it home. And by Ford, the official cars and trucks of the St. Louis Cardinals. Cruz trying to extend the ball game. Molina is on deck. First pitch taken for a ball. Tony has an infield hit. He's popped out and he's sacrificed. No home runs this year for Tony Cruz. Chris Davis, our Budweiser player of the game, 2 for 4, a pair of 2-run homers. And Ricky was hitting 167 with runners in scoring position this year.
But he's having a good week.
The 2-0. Take 1, maybe 2.
Take 2. Pinch run for Cruz. Hope for Yachty to get a double somewhere. Cardinals win in 20.
And a 3-1 pitch to Cruz. 3-2. 3-2 pitch. Struck him out. Milwaukee comes back late and salvages a game in this series.